A warm welcome to our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. I'm Joke Rogers. Here's what's coming up within the half hour. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is preparing a simultaneous peace plan which does not contain him ceding land to Russia. 22 people are killed in an office building fire in Jakarta. Plus, the Nigerian Air Force denies it violated the Burkina airspace when its aircraft made an emergency landing. Let's begin the world today. Thanks again for joining us. Ukraine is set to be preparing a revised peace plan slightly different from the one presented by U.S. President Donald Trump. In this alternative plan, President Volodymyr Zelensky intends to leave out ceding any Ukrainian territory to Russia, saying he had no right to do so under Ukrainian or international law. President Zelensky made comments about this after meeting with European and NATO leaders on Monday, as part of a push to deter the U.S. from backing a peace deal, which includes major concessions for Ukraine and which allies fear would leave it vulnerable to a future invasion. The Ukrainian president told a news conference that his team could send a new proposal to the Americans as soon as today. On Sunday, Mr. Trump indicated that he viewed Mr. Zelensky as the main obstacle to securing a peace deal, something he has made a key foreign policy goal and which the president claimed he would be able to achieve rapidly during the 2024 presidential election campaign. He told reporters that Russia was fine with the peace plan outlined to both sides by the U.S., but that he was a little disappointed that Mr. Zelensky hasn't read it. Let's get more on this. Joining us now is a senior lecturer of international relations and law at Teesside University in the United Kingdom, Dr. Tarela Ike. Dr. Ike, thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Right. So do you think the Ukrainian president is really the clog in the wheel of the progress in the peace plan with Russia now that he's working on an alternative plan?
I do not think so. In fact, I think, in my opinion, the Ukrainian president, or as a country, does have a right to decide its own future. And the reason I'm saying that is that when we think about international law and the norms and conventions that has been set right from time, it's somehow kind of weird for states to cede their territories because, again, there's this well-defined territories established by international laws and conventions. So that in itself is something I'm quite worried about in terms of what that means for states' sovereignty and territorial integrity. And it's also something that needs to be think about more carefully to avoid, for example, setting a dangerous precedent where stronger nations can invade other smaller nations and then get away with it through some form of land that is being ceded as part of the peace process. So I do think it's not stalling the peace process. In fact, it's an avenue for them to have that conversation so that way they can have a more lasting peace rather than a quick fix that would lead to something else in the future. So that security guarantee needs to be in place as well, in my opinion.
Right. And how do you think the U.S. president and, the rest of his administration will react to this, knowing Ukraine has always had a problem with accepting the clause about ceding territories to Russia?
It's quite hard to predict the U.S. administration's response. Somehow they might find it disappointing, but for me, I think it's an open avenue to get that conversation going, because in the long run, what we all need is that lasting peace rather than a temporary peace. So having the Ukrainian government decide in its own terms what they think the peace process would look like, I think that would be a very good opportunity for that dialogue to actually take place, with the US as usual playing that pivotal role to make sure that happens. So for me, I see it more as a positive opportunity in the right direction direction. Because again, if you remember what happened with Russia annexation of Crimea in 2014, it didn't deter Russia invasion of Ukraine in 2022 in February. So we don't want to see a repeat of that type of situation. So having that dialogue in place from the very, very onset and giving each party the opportunity to actually be part of that peace process, that peace deal would make us see a more lasting peace rather than one that seems top down and sort of like appearing to be imposed on Ukraine. So I think, in my view, it does open up that opportunity for both countries, with the US as always playing its key role in ensuring peace reigns. Thank you.
It's not just the United States playing a role in this. What role do you think Europe and NATO could play in assisting Ukraine with this venture?
So I think that the European nations and the countries and allies are doing really great in terms of ramping up that support for Ukraine. So I think it's something that is encouraged that they still consistently do put a bit more pressure on Russia to end this war, provide Ukraine with the much needed support and resources to be able to pull through this difficult time. So I think those are the key roles that the European allies can play, and they're doing it really well. It's just that matter of consistency to see that the desired result is eventually achieved.
And this does elongate the peace process, and the U.S. president believes that, Ukraine is the one hampering the deal at the end of the day. But do you think it'll be worth it in the end?
Absolutely. In my view, I think it does not necessarily elongate the peace process. In fact, it does give an ample opportunity for all parties to think through the peace deal to ensure that we have a more lasting peace that would sustain and, be sustained across time and space. Again, like the points that I raised, international laws and conventions are there about the importance of state sovereignty and territorial boundaries. And that's something that is always encouraged to be in place, because we don't want a situation where a peace deal that is not well thought through falls apart, and that then sets a dangerous precedent. So it's something that is really, really worth taking the time to ensure that all parties are happy with the peace deal. There is fairness. There is every party has the right to air their views, and then they reach an amicable solution that does not seem like it's just a quick fix, because a quick fix is more likely to fall apart in the future. But when it's well thought through with processes like this, then there is some ample opportunity for the peace deal to last and to also set a good precedent in terms of states maintaining its territorial boundaries in line with international law. Because if we think about Ukraine, I don't think, in my opinion, that they can unilaterally just decide to cede territories if you look at their constitution. So it might need some sort of referendum to do that. So again, it does have some complexities to that. So I don't think it's not worth it. To me, I think it's worth the entire process to achieve that long-lasting peace.
Right. Thanks again, Dr. Ike.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
And now turning to the dispute between Cambodia and Thailand, Thai